Existence Brewing.
Okay, Cosmic Kiddos, it's time for another Existence Brewing download.
We were just talking about corporations and money and $11 frappuccinos. So I wanted to mention that I went down this rabbit hole yesterday with this travel guy.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy flew, he's a British fellow, and it's kind of, I would describe it as typical in some ways. The very first video of his that I watched was about the California Zephyr. That is the Amtrak route that goes from Los Angeles, California to Chicago, Illinois. And it treks through the Colorado Rockies and the Sierra Nevadas. And it goes through several mountain ranges. He booked a sleeper car on that train.
I've actually seen this one.
Have you really? Or one like it? Because I'm sure there have been others that have done this.
No, I think he was a British man, and it was the same thing.
Maybe, I'm trying to remember, it was Walk With Me, Will, or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course, the Amtrak experience, it made me claustrophobic as hell just watching it.
Oh,
I mean, even from my living room, I was having a panic attack. I was just like, oh my God. And I'll never do that.
Well, I mean, the guy is in a cabin that's essentially the size of a airline bathroom.
Yeah. And you know that train travel, for those that have never done it, is often outrageously romanticized. I mean, it's just, honey, let's get on the train. And, and it's anything but, we'll have our own little cabin and the scenery will be just going by and someone else can do the driving and the choo-choo will make that little horn sound. And, maybe it'll actually happen, when we're doing it and it's like, it's not even close to being like that. I mean, it's just awful. And I think this guy was incredibly lenient as it was with the food and with a lot of other things, but his cabin was filthy. Like a cask of wine fucking fell out from underneath the bunk that it just chunk, the train hit a snag in the tracks that was big enough to finally dislodge this fucking magnum of wine that somebody had emptied and just stuffed underneath one of the beds, and they didn't even bother to pull it out, the people that clean. So, and then he gets to the end of the voyage after worrying about getting there because they're way behind schedule, and he said the train's going like 85 miles an hour, and he feels like it's just about ready to derail. It's going so fast, and that's got him nervous. And we get to the end of this, and we discovered that the guy paid $2,000 to fucking ride on. $2,000 for this just filthy cabin on Amtrak to go from LA to Chicago in a couple of days. And it was not romantic. It was not, he did his best to candy coat it, but you could tell he was glad to be done and to be flying back to Britain. That
was the impression I got.
But anyway, I got to watching some of his other videos, and me, I hate to fly. I'm terrified of flying. And I've never flown anything but coach in my life, of course, because, I mean, A, I don't produce the kind of income that's required to fly first class, and B, I don't know that I'd spend it anyway. Well, he really upped the ante because he flew. I watched a couple of videos. One was this first class suite that they called it. He also flew Singapore Airlines first class suite, I guess it was called. And this was a bigger space with a pull-out bed and everything. And he took a flight from London to Singapore, which was about 14 plus hours. And so he was on the aircraft long enough to actually, and he tries to use everything anyway because he wants the full experience. But he gets into this thing, and I don't know how long they've been doing this. Apparently longer. It's not a brand new thing. There's like gobbets of food stuck. He detects it immediately, stuck to his captain's chair, his little chair that he gets in there. It's on a lot of the adjacent accoutrements, a lot of the things that stick out, the little...
Well, yeah, because someone's been living in that before him.
Yeah, but they don't clean it. And then he found like general wear, like, scratches and kicking and things. Okay, and he kept alluding to how expensive it was from the beginning. And so you knew. And so I was ballparking the whole time, and he's spending British pounds. And so I was like, all right, Jack, do your best. I said, I'm going to guess about 12,000 pounds. Man, I was like right on the fucking money. He spent like almost 13,000 pounds to take this trip. That's $18,000, 18,000 US.
That is
$18,000 to fly, to take one flight in one of these things. And yet what it reminded me of, because he got done and he was just like, look, without saying as much, he said, I had a sponsor for this video and they pretty much paid for this because they wanted to mention, and I really wanted to do it. So I shilled out for this episode because I wanted to do this. But just to let you know, I don't have $18,000 that I make from the channel to just blow on a flight like this, just so I can profile it for you guys. And he didn't say that, but you could tell, that's, read between the lines, that's what he was saying. It's not even overdone well. And it's Tinker Toy bullshit. And the reason why is because of something that I heard from a very successful salesperson years ago. And I'm trying to remember the exact term, but I want to say that it was something about the perception of value.
All sizzle, no steak.
Right. My dad always used to say, sell the sizzle, not the steak. And it's basically the same thing. It's the perception of value. Look, the sneakers are just, unit cost is the same as sneakers that come from the, Foot Locker down the block, the generic ones for $39. They're the same ones that you can put on your kids at Target for $25 if they're on sale. But we give them a little glitz of gold paint. We jazz them up with some laces that are no big deal. They're just a different color. And so we spend a few extra bucks. That's it. Unit cost goes up from maybe $450, $475 to maybe $550. We spend an extra 75 cents, and yet we sell those fuckers all day long for $2,200.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have some expensive shoes, a few pairs. I will say that, and there are some very high quality pieces of footwear out there. When you tend to pay a lot more for something, often enough, when it comes to products, you do get what you pay for. Because
you can feel the difference between an expensive T-shirt and something you pick up at Walmart.
So it's not always necessarily products, but it's these experience packages that they sell in particular. I mean, you could tell it was a complete, honestly, and he wouldn't have never said this, it was a waste of $18,000. That's $18,000. And it sickens me because $18,000, I know several, and by several, I mean handfuls, dozens of really good, hardworking people who $18,000 is a third of their gross income for the year. A third. Just that is overkill. And he didn't even get near the money's worth. When you compare the two videos, the $4,000 that he spent to fly with Emirates, vastly more worth it than the $18,000 he spent with Singapore. Now you could say, it's just the difference between two airlines, but both of them really sold the sizzle on something that was just a seat on an aircraft to get you somewhere, even though it was cordoned off from everybody else, from the unwashed masses, and you could enjoy, because that was most of the value in both of them, actually, regardless of the money, was you're not sitting right next to Fat Tony and his wife
crying
Ethel
baby
on the plane. Yeah, and the crying baby, and exactly. So
no, exactly.
That was most of the value.
The airline industry and the hospitality industry, I think, are two that really, really push heavy on sell the sizzle, not the steak. And then they wonder why their profits are down, or they wonder why people don't fly as much. Because, I mean, just you're not getting value when you're gassing up a jet and you're getting somebody from point A to point B. What you're getting is all these extra accoutrement values that people that they sell in addition to just the seatbelt and the cushion.
He got access to the VIP fucking lounge before he flew with both of them, and that was just that just made me vomit, because I hate that. Put a threshold that's reasonable in there where you're going to be able to sleep at night still if you have a conscience about these things.
And you want to be able to enjoy it too, right? Instead of just being worried about how much everything costs you. And
you don't want to be hotel poor on the road either. That's never the best idea. No. But anyway, it was good. And he did a couple of other sleeper car videos that I watched. And so it was kind of a nice rabbit hole, but I think I'm done for now. But
yeah, and see, I think that's also part of that influencer is now you got to see the other side of the curtain, and you're going, why would I spend $18,000 on something like that?
I wouldn't.
The thing I always remind myself of when I see those situations is a lot of times those things are created for people who think that they deserve that tier
We all deserve
of
to be in that
service,
seat.
right?
That's the thing.
Yeah, but that's why they're created, is because that's how they can make more money. And so then instead of it being something to where everyone's thinking about it from your perspective, there's people out there who are so deranged and so delusioned that they believe that they deserve that first class seat. And there are other people who can afford to sit in first class, who I actually like, who say, you know what, this plane's going to get us to the same place. And I don't have to spend that much money.
I fully get that. But here's the world that Jack lives in. Here's the utopist mentality that I have. I'm not saying don't build the suites on the aircraft. What I'm saying is, in my world, it's quite Willy Wonka in some ways. Instead of, well, you've got to be a rich asshole in order to sit up there. And if you are, we'll pander to you like, it's nobody's business. You can sit in the VIP lounge and we'll tell you how great you look. And, oh, thank you, sir. Oh, wonderful, sir. Oh, I hope you're enjoying your flight, sir. Is there anything I can get you, sir? For the 18th time in the last 10 minutes, right? All the stuff you wish you could get in coach, but it's never going to happen because you're a nobody. Build the damn thing. I'm not saying that we don't do it. Fine. Build the big plane with the thing and, all that. But then reward random people that show up with a ticket. Basically just say, look, we only have so many of them. And so it's going to have to come down to not who lives in the biggest house and who has the most zeros, illusory zeros after their name in a bank account. It's going to come down to just the luck of the draw. We're going to draw some random names like bingo balls. And if you've been up there once before, you ain't fucking going again. You got your turn, because there's a lot of other people waiting to get their turn. And they deserve to have their turn too. So to me, it's not that people don't deserve to sit in such luxury once to experience that, because experiencing different things while we're here is a good thing. And I don't think having it to experience is the bad thing. I just think the fact that so few get to, and for the reasons that they do, is the problem.
We hope this download brewed up something for your existence. To find more, and for full episodes of Existence Brewing, check out the podcast at existencebrewing.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts online.
Existence Brewing.